Abusia fani adofia omunyina kwa biom yen sebre kra yen to enko yansam so tin edify the removal of Chief Justice Torkornoo update ni ba na yeden eba na sabi professor and as a lawyer Atuguba eden sembia babontia very interesting actually why shaky the Supreme Court, especially the judges in sema wa ka to hono enya asem to benya akunya so yeden 80s asem no Torkornoo na de asem bia sabe tudwa expose akofado enim de nti asasem na amba dada afia akofado akotena nchana afena sa Kesi ba anything true Martin Pigbono or chese akofado na use sika money to control the judiciary. How? Because we all know say judiciary no independent, and any other arms of government may influence and also to me by the constitution or follow emrano edimra so ema justice the eba. How come say more allow president be timidisika control mo e betis as ni mucheche mu na Afenyo mark ya no na say ade na process na mahama fa so the Chief Justice na from on law for no expose kese pa bon including kutin and mucheche.
On this particular path of the Constitutional Review Commission, because it's an exercise that is ongoing already. Now, Martin People is joining us on Zoom, and I know, Council, this is a particular position that you have supported in the past about the Constitutional Review process, taking a look at the appointment of the Chief Justice, that power taken away from the president if we truly want the judiciary to be independent indeed, not in words alone. Correct?
Absolutely, Mr. Kesi. Absolutely. Because we first think that for all the arguments that Professor Jampo is raised, we've actually seen that that's been our history, that is shown that some judges are not able to hold their independence, okay? Yes, once they get their appointment, then they seem to pander. Others have held it well, but look, if we are speaking bluntly, overall, we all know that generally the judges would, seem to defer to the presidents that appoint them. That's the overall picture. We are not saying that 100% that's what happens, but we mean generally. And Professor Atuguba once did a paper on it, and when he released it in Gimpa some years ago, it brought the judiciary to their feet. I remember Chief Justice Sophie Kufu then, Yasantua, our beloved Yasantua, telling Professor Atuguba to, be more nuanced, to put, salt. The phrase was to make sure that his statements were said that were nuanced and more acceptable, but not to make it so categorical that the judges tend to vote for the presidents that appoint them. Yes, Justice Duce also came in, but he was more measured, and then, so you see how far we've come. So Atuguba's paper is there. At least he has done a research paper. It's more rigorous than the anecdotal evidence that we are giving. But listen, nobody can fool me, and nobody can stop me from making the point that overall, generally, it goes when it comes to the matters, when it comes to the crunch. Let's separate the topics. There are those that generally go for a better society, like the cases that I've done, the people number 1, number 2, number 3, etc. Yes, those are not political. But we are talking about the hard cases. When it comes to the hard cases, it's politics. And let's not forget that even in the selection process, the presidents usually choose judges who share in their viewpoint, judges who share in their philosophy, judges who have their own, they share the same philosophy. That's it basically. That is what we usually say in common parlance, that this judge is NDC and that judge is MPP. That's what we say in common parlance. But if you want to put it intellectually, you would say that they share the same philosophies, the same vision, okay, the same ideology,
yeah, but
the
Martin,
same
you see, not to cut you, but you see, Martin, you can share in the philosophy of the president without being a bootlicker, because we know elsewhere judges are appointed. Yes, no president want to appoint a judge who is openly opposed to him, but elsewhere judges are appointed, and you have the judges asserting themselves. If the appointing authority is wrong, they will say that you appointed us, but this one you are wrong. And so it is good to have people appointed that who share your philosophy. But the point is that sharing a philosophy of appointing authority is not the same as being seen as a bootlicker and always doing the bidding of your appointing authority. If you do that, then constantly our judges would always be candidates for attempts at removal.
Well,
okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. So, and you see, this thing, sometimes, look, let's go open. Sometimes we make it look like Sule in Ghana. Trust me. In the United States of America, when Trump won, before he won, what did he say? He said if he won, not the second term, the first term, that he was going to appoint justices to the Supreme Court who will vote for him to overturn Roe versus Wade. When we say Roe versus Wade, that's a Supreme Court decision in the US that now bans abortion. There are certain exceptions. We cannot go in there. But generally, under Roe versus Wade, it was easier. Okay, the pregnancy was divided into three, the trimesters. First 3 months, second 3 months, third. And was generally easier first 3 months, second 3, and then more complicated in the third. Right. But overall, Roe versus Wade is generally gone. But the point we are making is that before Trump won, that was his promise to the people that, look, he will get judges who will come and overturn Roe versus Wade. And true, when he became president, Amy Goldman, the Catholic, the Catholic judge and other justices, he selected them well. They sat on it and boom, or if you like, boom, Roe versus Wade was gone. So it tells you that generally, it's something. It's not peculiar to Ghana. We are not saying it's good. Okay, no, that's not. But we're just saying that it's a human problem. And so far, we have shown that we are about to take the lead. We are about to make sure that the president doesn't appoint superior court justices and doesn't appoint the chief justice. So for Pufu, he said it. She granted an interview. Before she granted it, we even had started. This is a conversation that has been going on. It's been over 10 years since this conversation started that in the new constitution, the president should not be appointing chief justices. We need a different judicial council that would not also have many of the president's appointees. The president will not appoint persons onto the judicial council. It will be independent. And it's that judicial council that will see to the appointment. So yes, we are moving towards there. It looks like JM is ready to give it. Everybody sees that JM is hungry to leave a legacy. It looks like he's hungrier than Kwame Nkrumah, it appears, because he wants to leave his mark on this country. And it's good. It's good we trolled him in opposition for 8 years. I think the trolling has finally, it got to him. And so that the next time I get an opportunity to lead Ghana, I'll be said that even Kwame Nkrumah will find it difficult to beat me. And so far, it looks like it. So even though we've not yet seen the work of the Constitutional Review Committee, it's very clear that generally the nation is moving towards an independent judiciary, at least in the form of appointment. Let's not forget, even when the president doesn't appoint the justices, there are other ways the president can control. You remember Chief Justice Torkornoo, the current Chief Justice, said it, that at a point, Akufo-Addo was using money to control the judiciary. He would not release their budgetary allocations and thereby would be able to control them. So we'll still be then left with the financial independence. So perhaps the chairman of the Constitutional Review Commission, Professor Prempeh, should be looking at that angle too. How we'll strengthen it. Yes, currently on paper, They'll tell you that, oh, when the judiciary send their budget, you can't cut it and the rest. But practically, there are ways of going around it. So perhaps the committee should be looking at how they can get the financial independence too.
Actually, now, but and this is why I bring it Digital because I just want to run up on this aspect of the conversation because it ties directly into the current state of affairs. Is there a real challenge that this call for the review of these powers will solve? Council.
I think that we are faced with an issue that we should not confuse matters. What we are discussing this morning relates to a press conference by the minority leader. He calls himself the mighty minority leader. What that means, I don't know. But what is not in doubt is that the minority leader says that there is an unacceptable attempt by the NDC to infiltrate the judiciary, and now says that civil society groups must condemn that act. And not only that, he invites all other persons, religious leaders and what have you, to tell President Mahama to stop what the Constitution says he should do. Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution is in clear terms. Thankfully, our Supreme Court had had the opportunity to interpret Article 146 on the removal processes, particularly as it relates to a Chief Justice. Question: has President John Dramani Mahama done anything today not stipulated by the 1992 Constitution? Certainly the answer is no. Now, President Mahama, having assumed the office of President of the Republic of Ghana on the 7th of January 2025, has received 3 petitions. The petitions are to the effect that, based on the constitutional arrangement, the only basis that you can remove the Chief Justice or a Justice of the Superior Court is 1, through stated misbehavior, incompetence, or infirmity. As I speak to you now, I have not had the benefit of seeing the content of the petition. I have not seen it. Because if you recall, the Supreme Court in Franka J. Chum had provided a certain parameter that the entire process should be kept in camera. Strict confidentiality. So President Mahama, guided by this decision of the Supreme Court, has kept the petition under wrap. In fact, if you recall, when Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, wrote to him, however, copy to the Ghana Bar Association, Association of Judges and Magistrates, obviously the President expressed his disappointment with that conduct. Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, demanded of the President, or requested, that Mr. President, I need 7 days to respond to these petitions before a prima facie case can be made against me. Yeah. The President advised properly, said, yes, even your request for 7 days, I'll give you 10 days. That was offered her generously. Let the record reflect that Afenyo, one of the principal advisors of N.Addo Akufo-Addo on legal matters, did not advise Akufo-Addo to give Charlotte Osei the benefit of these 7 days or 10 days. That is our record. So it is a mark of it. Let me say, it is hypocritical, yes, for my lady senior Afenyo to do a press conference and suggest that President Mahama is doing something untoward. It's regrettable.
Well, no, he's not the one who holds that. The argument by the immediate past Attorney General is that to the extent that this injunction application is being heard, it behoves on the president to halt any process ongoing under Article 146 until the determination of that case?
You see, as for Godfred, I won't even talk about him for now. Let me deal with a major issue. You see,
that underlines the position that Macron has taken.
President Mohammed's fidelity to the 1992 Constitution is something that should be celebrated. When he became president, he appointed a Shroud boss called Madame Vivian Loretta Lamptey.
Yes.
Now get something. Honorable Frank Anodompre, MPP MP, and another gentleman by name Richard Nyama brought a petition to President Mahama that the Shroud boss so appointed by him has misconducted herself financial issues and therefore were seeking the removal of the Shroud boss. President John Dramani Mahama, consistent with his character to uphold the rule of law, accepted the petition, forwarded it to the CJ then. The CJ then made a prima facie determination, and the Shroud boss, Madame Loretta Lamptey, then
an appointee of President Mahama
was removed by President Mahama.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Today, as we speak, President John Dramani Mahama is in receipt of 3 petitions. I don't know the individuals. What has he done? Having received these 3 petitions, to warrant that unprovoked, meritless provocation from Afenyo marking. Has President Mahama done anything inconsistent with the 1992 Constitution? No.
Abusian for the Yankase Asuma in Semne Dawson, the more Jerem. Afi iti microphone Kasei, a lawyer, Martin Pibu, a lawyer Edward Tamaklo, a Professor Jankpo, in Sema Kuku Dami, and in the free editor, a John May say, NPP for you, microphone hypocrite. NPP for you new omuyi hypocrite, especially leaders a lady omono. So dene enye papa na se ankwa ama enye. Na so dene enye kra na se ekwo in favor of them ono de no ano no. Yemfa ne sa na yedin enye ne sa na yedin. These people are yes anima we continuously amagana for we bride enwo musuban. Na ohwe enema minority for so called minority form in some of the bear to jana eye niema tim say nya twom ahye especially Afenyo marking. Fede we osikasai as if say GM onimra undimra so or the constitution na ebo man ho bra no ebo ye ho ban no ode ato nchen eno no anka say yisu na adwen edi IBB and Senfata. So all the religious bodies, all the judges, omomo kibio makuku dampening for no chiefs, omunyina kambom, non for manu ntum no mutimi stop GM maninjai the removal of the Chief Justice. Adi na wo kan so nimpefe say enye no kre CGM inema wo ye unlawful. Like fan queen in consequence no yen and wo yen sa. Meanwhile winim no DCV any followers. Acting as if say winim nyansa ma. And so you say no nipa bebre na ineti. Wo ka asem na di mu ncheche mu ba na expose you. Wo ka na di mu ncheche mu ba na expose you. The time kama okasa Afenyo ma go jai on the Afenyo ni emfa serious be. Meanwhile we leader. Inti enyema amudi Charlotte say free hono as compared to processor GM ADB a Chief Justice free ho. Ama for cardio fixed data bano pay. No Chief Justice in make say president no man petition bin fine. What the amano? Only to me demand this for 7 days. President, there is some amount 10 days. Send me in unlawful. A unlawful, or Afenyo my good in Yas as in AC general. Only Mrassing C general. Can I deny unlawful? I didn't see Jananka say a unlawful petition, peace council. Sorry, Council of State. Sign money in a process no. I don't know a Chief Justice need baby in a floor or no one can say a unlawful, one can say a untoyful. So this agenda no matter try emfa. My emfa. Require modify so ye shall to say few. And hope some grab up because a petition you can put one amateur or them. One amateur Jubilee House on a movie cooking near my D in the so mama a year Charlotte say and you may be film, petition be film. Woman, it is saying so agenda now, Moshe one essay is poison because my dear enye crown and yamra quine so what him the inefro. Most it is way incompetent, most it is way or misbehaving. Hey, or no Charlotte say any misbehaving. That's the reason why I have to name from a petition. Now, so my is animal in ano, a denunguasia, Kesi mum ned, essay bremo. Uti in Sema Martin, people a kind or chessy. The Chief Justice Nankasankasa say, na akufado use sika money to control the judiciary. Meanwhile, so say, how come say the president issue sika they control the judiciary? Anona Afenyo Kemunyi na makamanotum. Na minority, sorry, MPP MPs then, and I'm a majority in pool 137 no, 138 137 plus 138 no. Man can want some. Nay, okay, mama, nay, lawful. Can the power bontin be can say a dear CJ any Nema Supreme Court judges and Omunjai because of mutual swabber and a mutual swabber more kasa that time or kasana muti yake nene. Ma fine edgeman. A year lawyer Atuguba so the same ba be shaky the Supreme Court judges. Amateurs are not so one seven Martin people breaking it down being winning. A canning in Aboma Bibiatre say President Mahama won't tumra. Or yet the right thing. Now, so Isan say a year MPP for M4 sa process and so on person painting it black. On person Yamagana for you know, den on qua by a den commanding or in ye on person criticize atmosphere. No, now, so no, Mr. Dankwa Equies, a baby may who say the majority of Ghanaians supported the GMA. Omo JB Biama Mahamo, someone need to pay near Hunter because at the end they know say. He is going to build the Ghana that we want. So don't forget it. It's insane we repeat my child under the comment section. Subscribe to Ṣhamë and say the Akroma.